Well, and this screen with all of yours. Yes, beta, good morning. Yeah. So any difficulty in understanding the structure of actin by any chance, anyone having any difficulty till whatever we have done with the muscle fiber and the myofibril or the, anything in that, then the actin band, then the myosin band, and then we saw the structure of actin also in detail. Anyone having any problem, anyone having any difficulty? No, na? Did you all try to read the content from the textbooks? Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yes, Sarika. Well, so anyone? No doubts? We move ahead. Sure. Let's go ahead with the structure of myosin. Okay. So each myosin filament is going to be called as the thick filament. Correct? And it is also a polymerized protein. What do you mean by it is also a polymerized protein? जैसे actin में हमने देखा था, the F filament is joined by monomeric G elements, right? So G protein single था and it was connected together to form a long chain of F. In the same way, even myosin is going to be made up of many such single units. These single units, like the G protein jaisa tha, let's say this particular one is going to be made up of what? It's going to be made up of meromyosin. Okay, so we're going to talk about it, of course. So these meromyosins will come together, they will connect together, and they'll form a long chain, which is what we call as your polymerized protein. Okay? Then many monomeric proteins called as meromyosins constitutes one thick filament. Okay, so that is what they are saying, that many such monomeric proteins, okay, are going to be coming together. They'll form a long chain, a filament, which will be called as thick filament, which is nothing but myosin. Okay, each meromyosin has two important parts. Now see, your troponin had three parts. That was the filamentous part. Then it was having something called as tropomyosin and troponin. There were three components. Here there are two components. Okay. So each meromyosin has two important parts. A globular head, okay, with a short arm and a tail. So it's going to have, have you all seen king cobra कैसे दिखता है? हाँ, तो उसका कैसा एक हेड होता है, राइट? और उसके बाद उसको एक लॉन्ग ऐसा एक कनेक्टिंग शॉर्ट आर्म रहता है और नीचे फिर पूरा का पूरा एक्सटेंडेड टेल रहता है. Even your myosin is going to look exactly like this, each one, okay, each meromyosin. So it's going to be having one globular head, short arm, and a tail. Okay, the head with short arm will be called as heavy meromyosin, जिसको हम abbreviate करते हैं as HMM. Okay, and the short and the tail wala part will be called as light meromyosin, that is LMM. So head with short arm HMM and the tail LMM. So HMM plus LMM constitutes one meromyosin. Like that way, there would be several meromyosins connected together to form the actin filaments. So why is it thick? You understood now. So it's going to be thick because there would be, like continuous projections of these type of heads, which make it appear thicker. Right? I'll show you the diagram, of course. The HMM, that is the head and the short arm, projects outwards at regular distance and at an angle from each other. Obviously, so it is a head now. This is the head now. सो हेड है, टेल है, फिर वापस और एक हेड है और एक टेल है, और एक हेड है और एक टेल है. सो क्या हो रहा है, दैट हेड इज प्रोजेक्टिंग आउटवर्ड्स. इट इज नॉट अ फ्लैट स्ट्रक्चर, इट्स प्रोजेक्टिंग आउटवर्ड्स. करेक्ट? गॉट इट? एंड इट इज गोइंग टू बी प्रोजेक्टिंग एट एन एंगल. ऐसा है तो देयर इज नो एंगल, फ्लैट है. बट इफ दे आर लाइक दिस वे, देन इट इज गोइंग टू फॉर्म एन एंगल with the tail. Correct? So that is what they are saying. The HMM component, that is the head and the short arm, projects outwards at regular distance and angle from each other from the surface of the polymerized myosin filament and is known as a cross arm. Please remember this word cross arm, because there is a difference between two words which are very close to each other, cross arm and cross bridge. Okay, so this is going to be known as what? Cross arm. Cross arm is a part of myosin molecule, rather meromyosin molecule. ठीक है? The globular head is an active ATPase enzyme and has binding site for ATP and active site for actin. Okay, fine. So this globular head, what is it going to have? An active ATPase enzyme. You know already. In respiration chapter, we have seen ATPase enzyme, the one which is going to be responsible for ATP synthesis. Okay, and it has also got a binding site for ATP and active site for actin. So see, actin had a site for myosin and myosin has a site for actin. That's why I told you that they are actually what? They are actually going to be always wanted to connect with each other. इसका एक active region होता है myosin के head पे for affinity with actin, and actin has got a region for affinity with myosin. So they always want to come together. Okay. Now, it can split ATP to produce energy. So we know that ATPase enzyme जो होता है वो energy produce करता है ना? So यहाँ पर क्या होता है कि this particular site पे there will be an interaction between actin and myosin and there will be splitting of ATP to release energy. Now what is this energy going to be used in? So this energy is going to be used in making bonds with each other. तो एक्टिन एंड मायोसिन के साथ बॉन्ड्स कराने के लिए, बॉन्ड्स बनाने के लिए दिस एनर्जी विल बी यूज्ड अप. ओके, myosin contributes 55% of the muscle proteins, so it's going to be almost 50%, almost half of the muscles are going to be made up of myosin. Is it fine? I'll show you the diagram, then the things will be much simpler. Yeah, look at this button. This is going to be your myosin. You can see, first we will talk about this diagram. You can see over here. Okay, ये जो straight लग रहे हैं ना, those are the tails of the meromyosin, which is LMN. और ये दिख रहा है आपको, I had told you just like king cobra के जैसे ये project होता है ना? So look at this. This is 1 HMM. You can see this globular part, right? So they are projecting at angles from each other. You can very well see how they are projecting, right? And these are the tails. So ये tail देखो कैसे दिख रहा है यहाँ पर. You can see this. Look at this. This is the tail. This is the short arm. This is the head. Okay, you can see this very well now. If you look into the details of this particular diagram, it will be all the more clear. The green one, right? Now we have taken into consideration a single unit of meromyosin. Yeah, okay. So see, you can see over here ATP, actin binding site and ATP binding sites. You can see this. Yes, so this is going to be, you know, the way they look like. So here there will be the binding of ATP molecule, which will be broken down to release energy that will help in binding the myosin head with the actin band. समझ में आया बेटा? This entire, see, this head along with this short arm is HMN. And ये जो पीछे का ringling tail दिख रहा है तुम लोग को, that is going to be the element. So tail region यहाँ से start हो रहा है देखो. From this region, the tail has started. So this entire region will be element. While this head along with this small short arm is going to be called as your HMN. ठीक है, तो ये जो ऐसे खड़े हो रहे हैं ना, ये तो ये जो है इसको हम कहते हैं क्रॉस आर्म. वी कॉल इट एज क्रॉस आर्म. एनी डिफिकल्टी इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग एनी पॉइंट? एनी डिफिकल्टी? टेल मी स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ myosin. Anyone having any doubts? Beta chalo. You want me to show the previous slide? Okay, I'll show the previous slide. You can go through it. Yes. What is what written? Once you have read this and you have understood this, do let me know so that I can move ahead. Yeah. Yes, right, beta. If any point is not understood, please let me know. Yes, Vaishnavi, let them complete this. They are reading all these parts. So if there is any diagram. Up to tail, nahi beta. Up to the cross arm, it's called as HML. And from the cross arm to the tail, it is called as LML. Up to the cross arm. क्रॉस आर्म इज नथिंग. ये जो हेड है उसका ये जो आर्म है टेल के पहले और हेड के बाद, दैट रीजन विल बी कॉल्ड एज क्रॉस आर्म. ओके, द वन व्हिच इज हेल्पिंग द हेड टू प्रोजेक्ट आउट. Yes, Bhumi, right. Okay, can I move ahead? Understood all these things? So they have written inside this particular box which you wanted me to discuss. Myosin tails are arranged to point towards the center. So you can see all these parallel lines जो दिख रहे हैं वो सारे क्या है? Tails है जो center में है. ये देखो, right? So they are pointed towards the center of the sarcomere, and the heads point to the sides of the myofilament band. So see, this is on the sides. बाहर की तरफ है, tails अंदर की तरफ है. That's it. Okay. So let us see the mechanism of contraction, which is very, very important. Sliding filament theory was put forward by H.E. Huxley and A.F. Huxley to explain this mechanism of muscle contraction. So please remember these names. The Huxley, both are Huxleys only. They have put forward a theory called as sliding filament theory. What is the name of the theory? Sliding filament theory. It is also called as walk-along theory or ratchet theory. So these all are synonyms of the sliding filament theory. According to the sliding filament theory, interaction takes place between actin and myosin which is the basic cause of muscular contraction. So whenever the actin and the filament will, actin and the myosin will come in contact, at that particular time, the contraction is going to be brought about. Okay, so if there is no attraction between actin and myosin, contraction is not possible. समझ में आ गई बात बेटा? So that day you all were asking me that what will happen if actin and myosin come together? So they will result in contraction. Rather, I would say if they don't come in contact with each other, muscle contraction होगा ही नहीं. And muscle का important point is contraction. Fine. So it's very important for the muscles to contract, and it is only going to be possible when actin and myosin come in contact with each other. ठीक है? तो देखो, actin filaments are interdigited with myosin filaments, like the crossing of fingers of two hands. So you know, like how we do like this way, na? In the same way, actin and filament will, actin and myosin will cross each other. They are going to be crossing each other in this particular fashion. Muscle contraction is initiated by a signal sent by the central nervous system via the motor neuron. So in neural chapter, that is the nervous system, we have already seen how the impulse is going to be carried out, right? And once the impulse is going to be reaching the CNS, it's going to cause the contraction का initiation. Fine. So signal कहाँ से आता है contraction of muscles के लिए? From the CNS. Correct? A motor neuron along with the muscle fiber connected to it constitutes a motor unit. A very important point. What exactly is the motor unit? The motor unit is going to be nothing but the motor neuron along with muscle fibers. Okay, motor neuron along with muscle fibers. The junction between a motor neuron and sarcolemma of the muscle fiber is called as neuromuscular junction or motor end plate. Okay, now what is motor unit? What is neuromuscular junction? What is motor end plate? Everything, you know, they ask you. So you have to know this. So what does it see? A motor neuron along with muscle fiber. उसको हम क्या कहते हैं? Motor unit. ठीक है? And the junction between a motor neuron is the one who will bring the impulse, right? And the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber. Sarcolemma of the muscle fiber. You know now where is the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber. Correct? Is called as neuromuscular junction, or it's called as motor end plate. So any confusion in this particular content? Anyone having any difficulty in this particular content? Just check it out. Or can I move ahead? Can I go ahead, beta? Yeah. Now what happens? See, a neural signal reaching this junction releases a neurotransmitter that is nothing but acetylcholine. You already know about this, right? So as the impulse is going to reach the junction, it is going to release acetylcholine, correct? And this acetylcholine will generate an action potential in the sarcolemma, correct? So action potentials would be generated. You already know what is action potential. Plus, minus, minus, plus, Na plus, K plus. कैसे movement हो रहा है? कोई difficulty है बेटा वो point में? How the action potential is going to be generated? Okay, so the action potential will be generated, correct? This spreads through the muscle fiber and causes the release of calcium ions into the sarcoplasm. That day only I had told you that the calcium ion is going to be stored inside something. Do you remember where the calcium ions are going to be stored? Can anyone recollect that? Calcium ion storage कहाँ होता है muscle में? Tell me बेटा. Very good, very good. Very nice. Yes, yes, yes. So all those who are answering my questions, उनका ही शायद good morning हुआ है, बाकी लोग अभी भी good night के mood में हैं. हाँ? Is it? Okay, fine. So yes, it's going to be present inside the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So what will happen, see, an impulse will be carried to the CNS. CNS will bring the, अभी आगे क्या करना है मसल के साथ, that signal will be brought at the neuromuscular junction where the neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine, will be liberated. This acetylcholine will cause action potential to take place in the sarcolemma and of course the sarcoplasm eventually. This will cause release of calcium ions from the sarcoplasmic reticulum into the sarcoplasm. Now what has happened? That day I told you, calcium ions and troponin, इनका कुछ गहरा रिश्ता है, मैंने बताया था आपको, याद है? Yes. So now what happens? See, increase in calcium level leads to binding of calcium with the subunit of troponin. Yes, correct? On the actin fibers, and thereby remove the masking of active sites for myosin. तो अब तक जो troponin, right, clipping कर रहा था, pegging कर रहा था, tropomyosin, correct है? तो ये troponin को हटाने का काम किसने किया? Calcium ने किया. So calcium has got more love, troponin has got more love for calcium ions than the actin, is what I had told you. Remember? Yes. So now the calcium ions along with the troponin will move away. So now the tropomyosin is free. तो वो brown color का जो belt था वो हट गया. किधर से हट गया बेटा? Active site of actin which is having affinity for myosin अभी expose हो गया, वहां से वो हट गया. So it removes the masking of active sites for myosin present on actin. Is it very clear what has happened? इधर तक की कहानी समझी? Yes. Now see what happens next. Utilizing the energy from ATP hydrolysis, the myosin head binds to the exposed active site on actin to form cross bridge. तो अब क्या हो गया? Actin and myosin got exposed to each other. So now the myosin head, which was like this way, right? Yeah, like this way. चलो ऐसे कर दो. और ये अपना actin है. You can see my hand precisely, I hope, right? So what will happen now? Here, my fingers. You can see my fingers of this hand, right? The fingers is the active site for myosin. Okay, so myosin का active sites for actin किधर था? ये side पे था, याद है? Look at this. यहाँ है, यहाँ, right? यहाँ. This position is the active का actin का binding site, and this position, these fingers and these fingers, basically, you can actually think from that way. So my right hand के fingers and my left hand के fingers have got affinity for each other, but they couldn't come together because of the tropomyosin and the troponin. Now troponin निकल गया, तो tropomyosin निकल गया. Now this particular head will get connected to this particular actin. Got it? What has happened? समझा? तो ये जो ऐसा था ये ऐसा हो गया. तो ये ऐसे का ऐसा जो हुआ है, they'll form a cross bridge. So what is a cross bridge, बच्चा? Cross bridge is nothing but attachment of the myosin head with the actin filaments. Got it? Understood what has happened? Huh? So see, utilizing the energy from ATP hydrolysis. Now to connect to this and form bonds. मुझे अगर ये हाथ को हिलाना है, तो I require energy. Without energy, it's not possible. In the same way, for the myosin head to connect to the actin, it requires energy. From where will it get the energy? It's going to derive its energy by breaking down ATP. So by ATP hydrolysis, energy will be liberated, which will help in binding the myosin with the actin to form a cross bridge. Any difficulty till here? Come on, do let me know if there is any difficulty till here. Bolo beta. Now what happens? See, this pulls the attached actin filaments towards the A band. You already know where is the A band. आपको पता है A band कहाँ है? पता है ना? तो ये जो ऐसे है ना, इसको अंदर की तरफ खींचा जाएगा. So the actin filaments will be pulled inside. So when the actin filaments will be pulled inside, what will happen? ये sarcomere है, ये Z line है. Z line से actin attached है. अब इसको अगर मैं pull कर रही हूँ, तो what is happening? My hands are automatically coming inwards. Yes or no? So वो actin को अंदर की तरफ कौन खींच रहा है? Who is pulling that actin filaments inward? The myosin head. Right? So the myosin heads are actually pulling the actin filaments inwards. So because of this pulling, what is happening? Z lines are coming together. Sarcomere is shortening. That is called as contraction. So this pulls the attached actin filaments towards the center of the A band. The Z line attached to these actins are also pulled inwards, thereby causing shortening of the sarcomere, which is called as contraction. Did you all understand how contraction is being, happening? तो जब तुम्हारे मसल्स ऐसे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते हो तो एक्चुअली ये सब चीजें हो रही है. तुम्हारी नेक ऊपर से नीचे करते हो तो पीछे करते हो तो यहाँ पर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन. हाँ, फिंगर्स को ऐसे करते हो तो इधर कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हो रहा है. तो कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हो रहा है, कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हो रहा है. तुम्हारा नी फोल्ड करके बैठते हो तुम, कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हो रहा है. What do you mean by this contraction? Pulling of the Z lines inwards. Who is going to pull the Z lines inward? Myosin head. Correct? Right? So we'll go to the diagram and we will see. It will be easy. Look at this. This is the actin filament, beta. Yeah. I'll come to that. Wait. Myosin head first attaches to the actin active site. Yeah. Then myosin pulls the actin inwards, which shortens the sarcomere. Very good, Bhumi. Perfect. Look at this. Okay. We will start from here. This is the actin filament. Okay. This is the binding site. Now this actin filament has got exposed. Okay. Now ATP and ATP has been broken down into ADP and IP. So energy is liberated. Okay. जैसी एनर्जी यहाँ पर लिबरेट हुआ है, यू कैन सी अ क्रॉस ब्रिज फॉर्मेशन. यहाँ पर दिखा तुम्हें क्रॉस ब्रिज फॉर्मेशन कैसे हो रहा है? मायोसिन हेड विद द एक्टिन. Could you see this? This is called as formation of a cross bridge. Right? Now look at this. Now here there is going to be sliding or rotation. तो ये जो सीधा था ना हेड, अब क्या हो गया? टिल्ट हो गया. टिल्ट क्यों हुआ पता है? उसने एक्टिन फिलामेंट को अंदर की तरफ पुल किया है. So it is now pulling the actin filaments inwards. You can see. ऐसा था, वो ऐसा होके अभी उसको अंदर की तरफ पुल किया. राइट? अब जब तक ये पुल किया है ना, तब तक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन में रहता है अपना मसल. But will it remain in the contracted position only? It will be so painful. If it remains in that contracted position only, it will be so painful. So it has to again become normal and bring about the second contraction. So for this, what is going to happen? There has to be breaking of the cross bridge. So now there will be breaking of the cross bridge. Again, the myosin head will be separated from the actin filament. Again, when it will be provided with ATP, what will happen? और ATP आया, वापस और ATP आया, तो ATP को वापस से ब्रेक डाउन करेंगे ADP and IP में, और वापस इस एक्टिन फिलामेंट को और पुल करेंगे. Yes, Palak, you are very right. When it remains in the contracted positions, we get cramps. है ना? वो एक गंदा वाला फीलिंग आता है, क्रैम्स आते हैं तो ऐसे लगता है कि ये कब छूटेगा. fine. So then that is the like reason the cross bridge has to break. Yes, Sanika, very correct, my dear. So after the contraction will take place, see that contraction relaxation ये continuously चलता ही रहेगा, continuously चलता ही रहेगा जब तक कैल्शियम कम नहीं हो जाता है. जब कैल्शियम कम हो जाएगा, when calcium will return back to sarcoplasmic reticulum, only then the troponin will again come and say hi, hello to the actin filament. And once troponin again comes on the actin filaments, now there is no scope for exposure of the active site of myosin present on the actin to form bridges. तो ये जो है ना सिलसिला जो यहाँ पर है, making of cross bridge, breaking of cross bridge will continue till the calcium ions are circulating in that particular sarcoplasm. Did you all understand this sliding theory? Lactic acid is no way associated directly with this beta. Lactic acid is going to be a product caused due to anaerobic respiration of muscles. Okay, so there is going to be formation of only 2 ATP instead of 38 ATPs, which is normally going to be seen as the oxidation product of one molecule of glucose aerobically. Okay. How A band retains its length? It's going to be in the center. It is not going to shrink at all. While I band जो है वो compress हो जाएगा अंदर के तरफ. So it is going to be showing shortening effect. While A band myosin का जो area है, it is always going to remain as it is. ठीक है? Any difficulty? Any problem, beta? All of you understood this content? The diagram, have you all understood? Okay. Now wait, that is what? Yeah. How it breaks again? When the ATP will be, that those bonds are being made and broken. They have to make and they have to break. So whenever that energy will be utilized, now there is no more energy to hold the myosin head in that particular position for a very long time, it will break off. So energy नहीं है तो कौन पकड़ के रखेगा बेटा? So वापस energy gain करने के लिए वो वापस ATP hydrolysis कराता है. So they go on breaking the ATP molecules continuously. Okay. Would this happen if a person has calcium deficiency? That is what we have studied. You remember that if there is calcium deficiency in chemical control and coordination, we have seen this, which is the hormone which is going to pull all the calcium from, yes, it is going to take away all the calcium from the bones and provide it to the muscles. You remember this? It has to maintain the calcium balance. So हमने ये दोनों मैकेनिज्म देखे थे. ज्यादा होता है तो क्या होता है एंड कम होता है तो क्या होता है. Yes, very good, correct बेटा. Okay, so it is clear from the above steps that during shortening of the muscles, that is contraction, the I band gets reduced whereas the A band retains the length. Correct. Let us see again if you have got a doubt with. Okay. I band gets reduced ना, ये pull हो जाएगा ना एक तरफ, ये जो area है, it will get pulled, so it will get contracted. While A band remains the same. A band में कोई फर्क नहीं होगा. This will be pulled inwards. ये यहाँ से अंदर की तरफ pull हुआ, but A band को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. A band is going to be having what? Actin plus myosin. It's going to have, right? Yes. Correct. Got it? तो ये diagram देखने के बाद थोड़ा easy हो जाएगा. इसलिए I'm coming back to the diagrams. Okay. The myosin Releasing the ADP and IP, it is not P1, it is IP or inorganic phosphate, goes back to its relaxed state. So someone was asking me that how it will go, like relaxation kaise ho jayega. So the myosin, after releasing the adenosine diphosphate and inorganic phosphate, goes back to its relaxed state so that it can combine with another ATP to break it down and bring about hydrolysis. So a new ATP binds and the cross bridge is again broken. Okay. The ATP is again hydrolyzed by the myosin head and the cycle of cross bridge formation and breakage is repeated, causing further sliding. The process continues till the calcium ions are pumped back to the sarcoplasmic cisternae or reticulum type part cisternae, which we have done in Cell Unit of Life, resulting in the masking of actin filaments. This causes the return of the Z lines back to their original position, that is called as relaxation. So, have you all understood exactly how the muscle contraction is taking place? All of you? So what I'll do is I'll just show you a short video which will make the things, it is not complex, which will make the things or simple ho jayega, okay? Let me show you a video. One. Share it with you all. Please pay attention to this. It will make the things very, very easy. Can you all hear it? Okay. You can read the content down. You can read the content. Yeah. Look at it, how they are sliding. Yeah, so they're talking about the sliding filament theory. I'll remove it because I can hear it. It's causing difficult for me. So see, yeah. Muscle contraction is initiated when the muscle fibers are stimulated by the nerve impulses. This is the calcium ions. You can see the yellow ones are the calcium ions, which will attach to the troponin. See, right? Now the calcium ions and troponin are going to remove the masking effect. You can see how they have removed. So you can see this. These are the points where the myosin heads are going to bind. So myosin binding sites. Correct? Right? Yeah. This is your myosin head, which is having ADP and inorganic phosphate from the previous muscular contraction. You will come to know about it. Okay. Now see, inorganic phosphate gaya. The myosin heads release this phosphates. Newly exposed myosin binds with the actin. The two myofilaments slide past one another, propelled by head first movement. ये देखो cross bridge कैसे बन रहा है देखो. Now the myosin units are powered by the chemical energy, which will pull the actin filaments towards inside. Okay. Yeah. Now this is the ATP which will come. Again it will bind. ATP ने उसको relaxed position में लाके रखा. Okay. So they are again now going to be broken down into ADP and IP for next, attachment. तो अभी ये वापस attach हो जाएगा उधर. Next cycle of movement will be initiated. Got this? Understood how it is taking place? So a new sequence of actin will take place. देखो अगेन ऊपर गया वापस अभी ATP आएगा. ये देखो look at it. Again ATP ने उसको नीचे पुल किया. उसने ATP को ही तोड़ दिया and वापस ये जो पूरी कहानी है ये चलती रहेगी. देखो look at it how it is contracting. Got it ना? Clear? Yes. So this is how the entire process is taking place. It's a very beautiful video. You can also get it on, videos. Okay. So don't worry. मैंने भी you can search it and you can get it. Okay. When the bridge is breaking while the troponin again masks the actin. Yes, 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 yes. So yeah, so the troponin is going to decide the I mean, the calcium is going to decide the masking of the, removing of the calcium, removing of the troponin, and allowing the, sites to connect with the myosin head. Yes. How many consecutive contraction? It depends on the impulse, beta. How strong is the impulse? It will be according. Okay. Samjha? I hope all of you all have understood this. Troponin doesn't break and bond after that like one calcium. Yes, 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 yes. So it's actually like ATP आता है तो वो नीचे आ जाता है. ATP देखा आपने क्रॉस ब्रिज टूट रहा है. But then what does the myosin head does? ATP को सुनता नहीं, बोलता है चल तुझे ही तोड़ देता हूँ, तू मुझे सेपरेट करने के लिए आ रहा है क्या एक्टिन से, I'll break you only. So it is breaking the ATP molecule into ADP and IP and again going and attaching. Again one more ATP molecule is coming, उसको वापस नीचे कर रहा है, वो उसको भी तोड़ रहा है और वापस जा रहा है. Look at the consistency of these myosin heads, how they are actually like consistent to go and attach to the actin. So when the cross binding is no, it will not come again, it will not come again, it will be repeated. Troponin अभी बाहर ही है बेटा, तो जब तक कैल्शियम और ट्रोपोनिन टाइम पास कर रहे हैं ना, तब तक ये तोड़ना और जोड़ना चलता ही रहता है. Okay, but what will happen when the troponin will again come and sit on the actin filament? Now though ATP has come to pull the myosin heads, though the myosin head has hydrolyzed the ATP and it wants to go back, it cannot go back because अभी वो actin का side जो है वो block हो गया. Okay, so now it is the time, this is the time when the calcium and troponin are saying goodbye to each other. That is the time when this myosin head जाके फिर वो रुक जाता है कि कब वापस मुझे दिखेगा मेरा actin. Yes, till then myosin waits for calcium again to come. Yes, beta Sanika, very well understood. Okay, so again when the calcium will come, again the same process will be repeated. So you saw now how the things were happening. The ATP molecule आता है तो ये इसको नीचे ला रहा है, full force से वो बोल रहा है myosin को come on leave actin. Myosin ATP को ही तोड़ फोड़ के वो हीरो है ना यार, तो ATP इधर विलन का काम कर रहा है. तो ATP नीचे उसको खींच रहा है, it is not allowing it to go near the actin. तो myosin head क्या कर रहा है, full action है ना. वो कौन से मूवीज रहते हैं एक्शन वाले, पूरा तोड़ फोड़ मोड़ के, तो एटीपी को तोड़ फोड़ मोड़ के वो क्या बना देता है, एडीपी एंड आईपी बना देता है. हाँ, रोहित शेट्टी फिल्म से. आई एम बैड एट दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग यार. आई मीन ये पॉइंट पे मेरे साथ कुछ बोलो मत, नहीं तो तुम लोग मेरी अक्ल दिखा लोगे फिर. हाँ, जैसे मैं तुम्हें डांटती रहती हूँ ना, कुछ ना कुछ अगर तुम्हें नहीं याद है, कुछ नहीं याद है, तुम अटेंड नहीं करते हो, तुम एब्सेंट रहते हो, तो मैं कैसे तुम्हें डांटती रहती हूँ. So you will get a reason to scold me on this particular part. Telugu movies are also like that. Maybe. How much ATP is required for more contraction? 2 ATP molecules are required per contraction. So it depends on the impulse, how much it is going to be and how much calcium is going to be released. More the calcium released, more will be the ATP required. Right? Yeah. Well, so I hope you have understood this part very clearly about the muscle beta. कोई difficulty है क्या? Muscle contraction, sliding filament theory, Huxley ने जो बताया है वो understood? Relaxation occurs when the calcium leave or when myosin goes down and comes up. When myosin goes down and comes up. ऊपर नीचे करता रहता है ना, तो जब तक वो हो रहा है तब तक ठीक है. Okay. Well, so that's all with your sliding filament theory and muscle contraction. Explained with diagrams, very beautifully explained with diagrams, beta. So just we'll go through this. ये देखो, in a relaxed condition how the things are. Z line, I zone, A band, H zone. I hope you all remember this. I zone is going to have only actin and actin. A zone will be having actin as well as myosin. H zone will have only myosin. Correct? Yeah. So this is how the, in relaxed condition, the things are going to be. Okay. During contraction, you can see shortening of the sarcomeres. Can you see this? How the sarcomeres have got reduced? Size देखो बेटा, ये देखो, ये यहाँ पर है तो ये अभी इधर आ गया. And when the muscle gets maximally contracted, look at this. It's almost overlapped. It's almost overlapped. ये देखो, है ना पूरा. Okay. And now this is the time when the contraction is maximum. The sliding filament theory of muscle contraction, movement of the thin filaments, and the relative size of I band and H zones have been depicted in this particular picture. When the ATP comes to detach myosin, that time only the troponin gets its position on the actin. Yes, correct. Right. Okay. Have you all understood this diagram as well? तो जो हमने वीडियो में देखा कि कैसे कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हो रहा है, यहाँ पर सीधा उन्होंने कॉन्ट्रैक्शन दिखाया है, ये डायग्राम. Okay. In short, this mechanism of muscle contraction has been explained. Impulse from the motor nerve. Action potential develops in the T tubes. What are the T tubes? What are the T tubes? Tube or tubule, whatever. What is it? नीचे के सेंटेंस से तुम्हें आंसर आना चाहिए. Yes, you are right, बेटा. T tubule releases calcium ions in sarcoplasm. It is nothing but it is a part of your sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay. It will release calcium ions in the sarcoplasm. A conformational change in troponin tropomyosin complex will take place. Transformational conformational change means temporary change. Again, it is going to come and sit on that same particular area. It's a temporary change. Active sites of actin filaments become uncovered. So now they are going to get exposed. Myosin head breaks up ATP to derive energy. So ADP and IP आ गया. Myosin head gets attached to active sites of actin, forming actomyosin complex. So cross bridge बन गया. Myosin head tilts and pulls the actin filaments towards them. So pulling of the Z lines inwards. Actin filament slides over myosin and contraction occurs. So when it is going to be like this to this and they pull the Z lines together, contraction will take place. This is the flow chart. Any difficulty in understanding these? Any difficulty in understanding these? Understood? Sure. Very good. Then we go to the next one. Properties of, wait. Properties of muscles on electrical stimulation. बेटा ये जो part है ना, ये important है, and this needs to be understood again. थोड़ा सा conceptual है, but easy है. Single muscle twitch. A muscle contraction initiated by single brief stimulation is called a single muscle twitch. It occurs in 3 stages: a latent period of no contraction, a contraction period, and a relaxation period. तो ये जो है ये क्या दिखाता है कि एक सिंगल मसल ट्विच है. ट्विच का मतलब है नॉर्मल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन जो इजीली ब्रेक हो रहा है. ओके. व्हाट इज समेशन? If the muscle is stimulated before the end of the twitch, it generates greater tension, which we call it as summation, or addition of effect takes place. So that contraction will go on contracting more and more. समझा? तो ये वाला डायग्राम उन्होंने दिखाया है ना, this one, if you can see, yeah, maximally contracted वाला part जो है ना, something like that way. So it will be contracted more and more. That is called as summation. That is addition of the impulses. Okay, right? Which means one contraction. Just like एक छोटा सा minor contraction आके relax हो. ठीक है? It's called as a twitch. Repeated stimuli will produce increasing strength of contraction, which will cause a staircase phenomena. Staircase phenomena का मतलब क्या है? How the staircase rotates. आपने देखा है rotating staircase देखा? ऐसे वाले staircase पे कभी चढ़े हो, गोल वाले? हाँ. So that muscle contraction अगर ज़्यादा हो गया ना, तो ये ऐसे staircase phenomena हो जाता है उसमें. It will actually, like twist. Okay. Yeah, so that is called as your repeated stimuli. Continuous stimulus आता ही रहा, then the muscle will overstretch and it will undergo a staircase phenomena. Yeah. Yes, Vaishnavi, you're right, but yes, spiral line. Correct. Then you have got twisting. Correct. See, then you have got a very important thing that is called as tetanus. If stimulation is very rapid and frequent, the muscle does not have time to relax. It remains in a state of contraction only, जिसको हम cramps बोलते हैं ना, muscle cramps कहते हैं ना हम लोग. It is actually scientifically called as tetanus. Okay, so tetany is different. You remember there was something called as tetany? याद है तुम्हें? हमने tetany ये word किया है in disorders. Do you all recollect in which disorder we had seen this word tetany? क्या है? Yes, very good, Siddhika. Yes. PTH, parathyroid, है ना? Yeah. Here, this is tetanus. और तुम लोग जो बोलते हो ना कि टेटानस का इंजेक्शन लेने जाना है क्योंकि हमें ये लगा वो लगा, that is actually tetanus and not tetanus. So there are three different words. Tetany, hyposecretion of parathormone, PTH. Okay. Tetanus, exclusive contraction of the muscles to cause cramps. Okay. And tetanus is going to be something which is caused by an organism, microorganism called as Clostridium tetani, Tetani, not Tetany. Okay, which is going to be, causing a problem with infections. Okay, so all three are different words. Please don't confuse yourselves with these three words. Tetany अलग है, tetanus अलग है, and tetanus अलग है. ठीक है? It remains in a state of contraction called as tetanus. All of you all have understood this three important points. Anyone having difficulty, beta? Anyone having difficulty, please do let me know. Latent period of no contraction means now there is no still more contraction that could take place. और contraction का कुछ सवाल ही नहीं है यहाँ पर. इतना maximum already contraction हो चुका है that there is no scope for more contraction. That is called as, later on there would be no possibility at all of contraction. Okay, got it? So tetany, TETANY, पैराथायरॉयड हार्मोन का डेफिशिएंसी के वजह से है, बराबर है. देन टीटानस जो है, दैट इज ओवर मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्शन व्हिच विल कॉज व्हाट? which will cause something called as cramps. And tetanus is going to be caused by Clostridium, a bacterium, which is going to cause infection. Have you all followed this, beta? In summation, another stimuli is received before the muscle has a chance to relax. Yes, my dear, you're perfectly right. So more than one impulse will be added on together. Sometimes two, sometimes three, sometimes four. It becomes a bit painful then. Okay, got it? Okay. So these are the three very important points. Next three coming ahead. So refractory period, immediate after one stimulus, the muscle fibers cannot respond to another stimulus. This resting or refractory period is only about 0.02 seconds. Okay. Yeah, what is your doubt, beta? We need to take tetanus injection just to be in the safer side in 2 months, 6 months. For 6 months, the tetanus is going to be valid. It's actually not tetanus, it's called as anti-tet. It's against the Clostridium tetani. Okay. So the refractory period देखो only 0.02 seconds. मतलब fraction of a second जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, that much only of time is required for getting the second stimuli. That is called as refractory period. Threshold stimulus, for muscle fiber to contract, a certain minimum strength or intensity of stimulus is required. This is called as threshold stimulus. So कभी-कभी है ना कि एक stimulus आता है but उसका इतना action potential generate करने का capacity नहीं होता है. So it may generate action potential, but it may not cause the release of calcium ions in such great extent that troponin will be removed from actin. So that is not, that particular stimulus is of no use. So minimum that much of stimulus is required, which will cause the calcium to be released into the sarcoplasm, is called as threshold stimulus. Okay, all or none principle, very important. A stimulus below threshold will not result in contraction, while a threshold stimulus will result in contraction. This contraction leads to maximum force. So अगर contraction होने वाला है तो होने वाला है, और अगर नहीं होने वाला है तो नहीं होने वाला है. Halfway contraction नहीं हो सकता है. It's not possible to cause halfway contraction. Either is going to be happening or it won't be happening. That is called as all or none principle. Okay, so higher stimulus will not increase force of contraction. That is, a muscle fiber contracts either fully or not at all. This is all or none principle. All type of muscle fibers and nerve fibers obey this law. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हायर स्टिमुलस आया मतलब बहुत ज्यादा कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा. हाँ, नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स कॉन्ट्रैक्शन विल बी मोर. That cycle of sliding filament, that is cross bridge formation and breaking of cross bridges, that will be more, but intensity cannot be more. ऐसा कभी नहीं होता है कि हायर स्टिमुलस आया तो एकदम झटके से पूरा मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो गया, बाप रे ऐसा हो गया तो फिर तो मतलब खत्म. Okay, so it is not depending on the how much of stimulus is going to be actually experienced. If it is more, the cycles will be repeated more. But all of a sudden cramping होके actin myosin fibers पूरा ऐसा उसका चकनाचूरा हो गया, ऐसा कभी नहीं होता. Okay. Yeah, when the secretion of calcium ions से भी ज़्यादा, now the calcium ions will leave the troponin and go back to the sarcoplasmic reticulum. That is the time when the relaxation will take place. ठीक है? What happens during cramps? The stimuli which are going to be obtained, or the cycle which is going to be repeated, is going to be too fast. It is not going to take the normal time that it is going to take. So one after another, continuously that cycle will be sliding. So making and breaking of bonds, it will be too quick, too fast. Intensity won't be fast. Speed of cycle will be more. Yeah, it causes harm. It causes harm. So this is not good, of course. Okay. Got it? Yeah, if it is very severe, then we get, that area becomes swollen and it becomes bruised, it becomes bluish, greenish, purplish in color. Yes, my dear, very correct. Intensity remains the same, speed alters. Correct. Understood this 6. Now comes the 7th and the most important one, beta. That is called as oxygen debt. Yeah, it can occur due to any reason. Yes, Bhumi. Yes, my dear. Oxygen debt. During strenuous exercise, muscles' oxygen supply rapidly becomes insufficient to maintain oxidative phosphorylation of respiratory substrate. I hope you all are understanding the words oxidative phosphorylation and what is respiratory substrate. Huh? Yeah. At this stage, muscle contract anaerobically and accumulates lactic acid produced by anaerobic glycolysis. We know this also. Lactic acid produces less ATP, only 2 ATPs, and it is toxic. It causes tiredness, pain, and muscle cramps. During recovery, oxygen consumption of muscle far exceeds than in the resting phase. This extra oxygen consumed during recovery is called as oxygen debt of the muscle. Debt मतलब क्या बेटा? What do you mean by the word DEBT? Debt का मतलब क्या होता है? कम होना. तो उसकी रिकवरी करनी पड़ती है. It needs to be recovered. So for the recovery, what is going to happen? Extra oxygen will be consumed. Okay. So during recovery, oxygen consumption of the muscle far exceeds than that in the resting stage. Now, why is this oxygen? More oxygen will be required. वो debt को उसको clear क्यों करना है muscle को? देखो, oxygen debt is used in oxidizing the accumulated lactic acid now aerobically and in restoring the depleted creatine, phosphate and ATP. So ये जो अपना oxygen है, it is going to have two actions. First, it will oxidize the lactic acid aerobically to form glycogen. तो अभी ग्लाइकोजन बनाने में ये ऑक्सीजन यूज होने वाला है. ओके. एंड दूसरा, रिस्टोरिंग द डिप्लीटेड क्रिएटाइन फॉस्फेट विद एटीपी. तो more oxygen, more ATP will be formed. This ATP will be used to maintain or bring back this creatine phosphate in normal amounts in the muscles. So creatine phosphates are very important components of muscle to give it a strength. So ये ATP यहाँ पर reuse होगा. So this is going to be use of the oxygen debt. Okay. Got it? Any problem? Any difficulty in understanding oxygen debt? Easy? This is something which we have seen in movies and all these things, but we never knew it was called as rigor mortis. Important term. Usually, some hours after the death of an individual, if muscles get stiffened, this muscular stiffening after death is called as rigor mortis. It helps in fixation of hours of death after murder. After death, the fresh supply of ATP to muscles becomes impossible. Therefore, once the local store of ATP is finished, the detachment of myosin from actin cannot take place. See, ATP ही था जो मायोसिन को नीचे ला रहा था, आपने उस वीडियो में देखा, बराबर है. अब अगर ATP जितना stored है वो सारा का सारा यूज हो गया, now there is no more ATP remaining to bring that myosin head, get it detached from the actin. So what will happen? The myosin head and the actin will remain always in contact in dead people. After death, there is no ATP available to pull that myosin head downwards. Got it? And that is the reason the muscles become stiff. Right? So therefore, once the local store of ATP is finished, the detachment of myosin from actin cannot take place. This results in permanent state of contraction of muscles. So in dead bodies, as we call it, the muscles are going to be so stiff that they cannot be moved later on. You cannot move them later on. So that is the reason, like they say that once a person dies, immediately that person has to be laid in a position in which that person can be buried or burnt or put in a coffin or whatever it is. Okay, so it has to be made to lie in that particular position according to the customs, whatever they are. If you try to do that after some time, it is not possible to make that person straight or make it sit in a chair or whatever it is, because of this particular thing that is called as rigor mortis. Have you all understood what exactly is rigor mortis? Very important phenomena. Do not forget this. Those who are heading to go ahead with their मेडिकल स्टडीज, जिनको आगे जाके मेडिसिन में करियर करना है बेटा, जितने भी डेड बॉडीज आप लोग डाइसेक्ट करोगे ना, सब में ये रिगर मॉर्टिस सबसे पहले एक्सपीरियंस आप करोगे. द बॉडी इज सो स्टिफ, it cannot be moved. Okay, if you try to do that now, it will break but it will not move. Fine. So this is how the few important terms which are associated with muscle contraction. Understood this very precisely, my dears? Anyone having any problem, any difficulty with any part with whatever we have explained just now? By cutting it, you cannot move it. You cannot move it. You cannot, separate it. Yes. That is internally visceral movements are possible. Yes, Vaishnavi, visceral movements are possible. So that's a very important and beautiful phenomenon. Right. Now we come to myoglobin. Repeated activation of muscles can lead to accumulation of lactic acid due to anaerobic breakdown of glycogen in them, causing fatigue. Muscle contains a red colored oxygen storing pigment called as myoglobin. It's not called as hemoglobin, it's called as myoglobin of muscles. It can produce, internally everything is happening better. Internally everything is taking place. Only the motor functions are not going to be possible in comatized state. Okay. Visceral movements are involuntary movements are taking place. Everything is normal inside. Only the motor actions are not possible. Muscle contains a red colored oxygen storing pigment called as myoglobin. Myoglobin content is high in some of the muscles which give a reddish appearance. Such muscles are called as red fibers. These muscles also contain plenty of mitochondria which can utilize the large amount of oxygen stored in them for ATP production. Thus, these muscles can also be called as aerobic muscles. So, जिनमें बहुत ज़्यादा myoglobin है, उनको red muscles या फिर aerobic muscles भी कहते हैं. On the other hand, some of the muscles possesses very less quantity of myoglobin and therefore appear pale or whitish. They are called as white fibers. Number of mitochondria present in them are also less, but the amount of sarcoplasmic reticulum is high. They depend on anaerobic process for energy. So red muscle fibers are associated with aerobic processes, while this white muscles are going to be anaerobic processes. Ye easy wala part hai, but still you should know it. Working of the skeletal muscles. Generally, muscles work in pairs and produce opposite actions. For example, biceps flexors bring about flexion or folding, and triceps bring about extension of the elbow joint. So, when you move your arm towards yourself, what are you doing? ये जो biceps है तुम्हारे, है ना, ये fold हो रहे हैं, ये compress हो रहा है, देखो, और ये जो triceps है, ये extend हो रहा है. So you make your hand like this way, it's normal. When you have got this action, what will happen? Biceps, those people who are gymming, they know this better. हाँ? तुम लोग ये biceps को हमेशा बोलते हो ना, इसको हाथ लगा के देखो, इसको हाथ लगा के देखो. हाँ? So that biceps are contracting, they are folding. So this action is called as flexion, and at the same time, when flexion is going to be brought about, at the same time here there is extension. So flexion and extension, flexion and extension are two opposite type of actions carried out by the same muscles. Okay, the muscles which bring about opposite actions are called as antagonistic. If one member of a pair is capable of bending the joint by pulling the bones, the other member is capable of straightening the same joint by pulling. See, muscle cannot be pushed, it can only be pulled. तो जब ये अंदर पुल हो रहा है तो ये बाहर के तरफ पुल हो रहा है, तो एक तरफ से इधर से पुलिंग है, एक तरफ से इधर से पुलिंग है, so it's a pulling action. Example, triceps and biceps of upper arm are antagonistic to each other. In antagonistic pair of muscles, one member is much stronger than the other. For example, the biceps are stronger than the triceps. The fundamental characteristic of muscle, of course, is contraction. Therefore, muscles can only pull and not push the bone. Remember this. Muscles can only pull the bone and not push the bone. Yes, Dhruv, right, beta. Correct. Understood? First action, antagonistic, brought about by flexion extension. Example, biceps and triceps. Important है ये सारी चीजें. Some important antagonistic muscles. First, flexor extension. Flexion muscles on contraction results in bending or flexion of joint. Example, biceps. Extensors on contraction results in straightening or extension of a joint. Example, triceps. Okay. Body occur on muscles. Not on bone. Yeah, of course. Bones are just to give mechanical support. But extension, flexion is everything because of muscles. Abductor and adductor. See, abductor muscle moves body part away from the body axis. Example, deltoid muscle of shoulders move the arm away from the body. So this is my deltoid muscle. So I can move my arm away from the body. Okay. Adductor moves the body part towards the body. That is your latimus dorsi of shoulder. तो एक जगह पर जहां से मेरा ये आर्म ऊपर जा रहा है वो है मेरा डेल्टॉइड मसल, और ये आर्म वापस मेरे तरफ आ रहा है, दैट इज लैटिमस डॉर्सी ऑफ शोल्डर. सो दो मसल्स होते हैं बेटा एंटागोनिस्टिक टू ईच अदर. तो जो फ्लेक्शन एक्सटेंशन है दैट इज बेंडिंग एक्सटेंडिंग. एब्डक्टर एडक्टर है दैट इज मूविंग अवे bringing back. Okay, remember the names. Remember the names. Bicep, triceps, flexor extension है. Deltoid and latissimus dorsi, abductor adductor है. Pronator and supinator. Pronator turns the palm downwards, supinator turns the palm upwards. Pronator, supinator, pronator, supinator. Remember these are important. Okay. Levator depressor. Levator raises the body part, depressor lowers the body part. So if now I'm sitting like this way, okay, if I have to stand, I have to raise my body part. If I have to sit, I have to lower my body part. Okay, so levator raises the body part, depressor lowers the body part. Where is latissimus dorsi located? This side. Okay. Protractor attractor, without which walking is not possible. Protractor move forward, retractor move backward. So आपके जो पैर जाते हैं ना आगे पीछे, some people have got the habit of hands also moving like this way आगे पीछे. देखा आपने while you walk, just like as if you are marching. Some people have got the habit. That is protractor attractor. What are sphincters? We have already seen this word sphincters. Sphincters are circular muscles present in the inner wall of anus, stomach. We have seen the different types of sphincters in the alimentary canal, right? For closure and opening. Did you all understand? All 6 of them? Any difficulty, beta? Anyone not understood anything? These all are opposite to each other. They always work in pair. ठीक है? Okay. On the basis of movement, striated muscles are of 3 different types: agonistic, antagonistic, and synergistic. As the name says, agonist, prime movers, bring initial movement of the part. Example, bicep. Biceps में क्या होता है? ये वाला part agonistic, prime movers. मतलब क्या? What do you mean by prime movers? They are the one which are actually going to help in the first movement of the, entire hand, I would say. Antagonistic bring the action opposite side of the prime movers. तो अगर ये मेरा prime mover bicep है, तो ये इसका antagonistic tricep है. Okay, got it. So even this अपना abductor and adductor. Abductor is the agonistic, adductor is the antagonistic. Each one. ठीक है. Synergistic assist prime movers. So these are not, against each other. Okay. So brachialis assist in biceps. So यहाँ पर side में ये जो side के muscles होते हैं ना, they are called as brachialis. They are going to help the biceps in fact. So they are called as synergists. So they will not be against the prime movers. They will be along with the prime movers. So there are three types of striated muscles according to the basis of the movement, which have been classified in the types of skeletal muscles. Have you all understood these? All of you? Then that's all with your skeletal muscles. Now we come to the visceral muscles or the non-striated or unstriped muscles. Helpers. Yes, synergists are helpers of prime movers. Correct. Visceral muscles. Visceral muscles are located in the inner walls of the hollow visceral organs of the body, like the alimentary canal, reproductive tract, etc. They do not exhibit any striations and are smooth in appearance. Hence, they are called as smooth muscles. Their activities are not under the voluntary control of the nervous system, and therefore they are called as involuntary. They assist, for example, in the transportation of food through the digestive tract, gametes through the genital tract, etc. So these are the internal muscles. So nothing under our control. Okay, and they do not have any specific H zone, A zone, I band, kuch nahi hai wahan. They are single nucleated, one nuclei in one muscle fiber. As simple as that. Okay. Yeah. This is there in your government textbooks, there in your boards. Then we have got the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are the muscles of the heart. Many cardiac muscle cells assemble in a branching pattern to form a cardiac muscle. Based on appearance, cardiac muscle is striated. They are involuntary in nature, as the nervous system does not control their activities directly. So they are showing some properties of, voluntary muscles, some properties of involuntary muscles, or some of your skeletal muscles, some of your visceral muscles. So they are sharing the properties of both. But one important point is they are branching. Of course, detailing of these two. डिटेलिंग मतलब ज्यादा कुछ है नहीं, यही है, थोड़ा बहुत एक 2-4 पॉइंट जो एक्स्ट्रा है वो एनिमल टिश्यूज का चैप्टर मैं पढ़ाऊंगी आपको नेक्स्ट, तो उसमें वो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा. ओके. Some everyday exercising people, when don't exercise for one day, they too develop cramps. Do muscle gets accustomed to exercise? Not accustomed to exercise. Those cramps are different, beta. Those cramps are not the cramps that are going to be because of summation or due to twitching. Okay, so they are the ones which are going to occur due to, I would say, energy loss. Okay, energy is not, I mean, utilized. Yeah, so blood flow थोड़ा सा hamper हो जाता है, लेकिन जो रोज करते हैं उनमें इतना प्रॉब्लम नहीं आता है. एक दिन किया एक दिन छोड़ दिया तो प्रॉब्लम आता है. Okay. Yeah. So these are the three types of muscles that we had to talk about in detail. Have you all understood everything? Skeletal muscles, visceral muscles, and cardiac muscles. Any difficulty in understanding any of them? So with this, muscles खत्म हो जाता है आज अपना ये part. Clear? Then we come to the skeletal systems now. So multicellular animals need support to maintain the body structure. Various groups of organisms show various supportive structures, either inside or outside the body, or both inside as well as outside the body. These skeletal structures are called as exoskeleton when present on the outer surface of the body, endoskeleton when present inside the body. Very common. Bones and cartilage forms the major endoskeletal components. Correct? Exoskeletal components change from higher to lower groups of animals, like they may include chitinous structures, जैसे कि कॉकरोच के ऊपर होता है, nails, horns, hooves, scales, hair, all are going to be what? Exoskeleton. Human beings may, yes, we have got skin, and internally we have got the bones and cartilages. So we directly come to the human skeletal system. Human skeletal system consists of a framework of bones and few cartilages. The system has a significant role in movement shown by the body. Bone and cartilages are specialized connective tissues. So as I said, in the next chapter, I'll be talking in detail about the, animal tissues. Structural organization of animals ये नाम है, जिसमें हम लोग tissues के बारे में और detailing करेंगे. As of now, remember, bone and cartilages both belong to connective tissue. The bone has a very hard matrix due to calcium salts, and the cartilage has slightly pliable matrix due to chondroitin salts. So calcium salts जिधर deposited है वहां पर matrix hard बन जाता है, और slightly pliable is due to the presence of chondroitin salts. Remember both the words, calcium salts and chondroitin salts, given in your NCERT textbooks. In human beings, this system is made up of 206 bones and few cartilages. It is grouped into two principal divisions, axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. So अपना जो पूरा body का skeleton है ना बेटा, pliable means which can fold and come back to normal, elastic. जैसे तुम्हारा ear pinna है, ear pinna को ऊपर करो, वापस छोड़ दो, it will come back to its normal position. That is called as pliable. Nose tip of the nose, you bend it, you leave it, pliable. Okay. Well, you want previous slide? Wait, let me complete this slide. Let me complete. So bones of the axial skeleton lie along the longitudinal axis of the human body. So अपना जो skeleton है, इसका जो ये central position है ना पूरा, हाँ, that will be called as axial skeleton. Bones of the appendicular skeleton includes bones of the forelimbs, hind limbs and girdles. तो ये जो side वाला area है पूरा, okay, ये अपने arms है, legs है, हाँ, ये pectoral girdle है, pelvic girdle है, ये जो सारे हैं, they'll be a part of our appendicular skeleton. So axial skeleton means which lie in the central axis, and appendicular skeleton means which is going to lie on the sides of the axial skeleton. ठीक है? Girdles are the bones that connect the limbs to the axial skeleton. तो यहाँ पर ये जो मेरा आर्म है आपका भी, जो आपके axial skeleton के साथ कनेक्ट किया है, तो ये वाले पोर्शन को मैं क्या कहूंगी? Pectoral girdle. So girdles are the connectors between appendicular and axial skeleton. Okay, जो अपना leg है, it will be connected to the thigh bone via the pelvic girdle. So I'll be talking in detail about these: pelvic girdle, pectoral girdles, appendicular skeleton, axial skeleton, of course. ठीक है? You wanted the previous slide? Yeah, this is the previous slide. Chondroitin salts are specifically salts which are present in the cartilages. जैसे calcium भी एक salt ही है, which is present in the bones. Chondroitin is also a salt which is going to be present in the cartilages. Okay. Done with this slide? Tell me once you have completed with this slide, and if you have got any difficulty, of course. So we talk about the axial skeleton. The skull, made up of 22 bones. Skull is located at the superior end of the vertebral column. We know this. It consists of two main sets of bones: cranium or brain box as we call it, and the facial bones. So this entire skull, okay, is going to be having the cranium wala part as well as facial wala part. Total कितने bones है याद रखना हर एक में 22 bones. Okay. Bones are joined by fixed or immovable joints except for the jaw lower bone. तो ये जो अपना jaw bone है ना, lower bone जो है ना, only that this can be moved. Otherwise, rest of the bones are fixed. They cannot be moved. You cannot move any of your, skull के bone except अपना ये वाला part, the one which can actually move up and down. Okay. Then we have got the cranium. We come to the cranium first. It is made up of 4 median and 2 paired bones. 4 median and 2 paired bones. Let us see how are they. Frontal bone, median bone unpaired forms the forehead. So here you can see in this diagram also very clearly. Here, this is the frontal bone. Can you see this? Frontal bone. It is one alone. It is not paired. Okay, so it is the frontal bone which is not paired. Roof of orbit, that is the eye sockets, and most of the anterior part of the cranium. So it is the most anterior, सबसे front वाला region है ये अपना frontal bone. It is connected to 2 parietals, sphenoid and ethmoid bone. तो ये यहाँ पर parietal bone तुम्हें दिखाई दे रहा है. You can see this. This is the parietal bone. ये white वाला इधर से, right? This is the parietal bone. So ये साइड से भी parietal bone है, ये साइड से भी parietal bone है. तो ये दोनों parietals को इसने join किया हुआ है. Okay? So it is connected to 2 parietal bones. Then it has got one sphenoid bone. You can see over here. This is the sphenoid bone. And ethmoid bone. You can see the ethmoid bone also very clearly. ये देखो, ethmoid bone. Frontal, parietal, sphenoid, ethmoid. Remember these names. Very important names. All those who are thinking to go ahead with physiotherapy, जिनको physiotherapy में career करना है ना, वो टाइम पे तुम्हें ये सब कुछ याद आ जाएगा, because that entire physiotherapy study is based on all these things. Yeah, my friend na, actually I forgot to take it out today. I'll get it in the next class. Okay, वो ऊपर रखा है ना, उसको तो मैं आज निकालने के लिए भूल गई हूँ. नेक्स्ट क्लास में मैं उसको निकाल के रखूंगी. Okay, so yeah, in the diagram also it is seen actually. Then you have got something called as the parietal bones, which we just now saw. Paired bones forms the roof of the cranium and greater portion of the sides of the cranium. तो मैंने जैसे बताया, ये वाला portion जो है जहाँ पर मेरे अभी हाथ है ना, that is the parietal bones. Temporal bones, paired bones situated laterally just above the ear on either side. So let us see the position of the temporal bones. ये देखो, this is the temporal bone, just above the ear. Okay. Each temporal bone gives out zygomatic processes that joins the zygomatic bone to form zygomatic arc. अब ये zygomatic क्या होता है बेटा? Zygomatic are the cheekbones. Okay. So the temporal bone gives out zygomatic processes. यहाँ से ऐसे processes निकल आते हैं, मतलब extensions आ जाते हैं ये bone के. That joins the zygomatic bone. Zygomatic bone are our cheekbones. Okay. तो cheek bones को और temporal bones को ये zygomatic bones जो है वो attach कर लेते हैं. ये processes है, zygomatic processes attach कर लेते हैं to give a characteristic shape to our face. You know ना, the way the bones are there, our shape of face, hand, legs, everything is decided. So the bones are one of the ones who will decide the overall facial characteristics. Okay. Just at the base of the zygomatic processes is the mandibular fossa. Fossa का मतलब होता है socket. Okay, a depression for mandibles that forms only the movable joint. तो ये zygomatic processes जो है उनमें ही नीचे के तरफ इधर एक फोसा है, एक डिप्रेशन है, एक कनेक्टिंग रीजन है to which the mandibles will be attached, because of which we can move our jaw. You can do आ ना, तो आ करते हो तो क्या कर रहे हो, देखो यहाँ पर place your hands ये एरिया में, place your hands and try to move your jaw and make आ. You can actually feel this jawline is dropping down, है ना? That is because of this connector. So this particular entire अपना skull is connected with this jawbone via this mandibular fossa. Okay, this bone harbors ear canal that directs sound waves into the ear. Process of temporal bones provides point of attachment of various muscles of neck and tongue also. So temporal bone से कौन-कौन attach है देखो बेटा, temporal bone से अपना neck and tongue के muscles attached है. Okay, so this is about the temporal bones which are going to be present in this region. You can see it very well. You can see this fossa. ये देखो, ये फोसा दिखाई दे रहा है तुम्हें यहाँ पर, डिप्रेशन, जिधर से ये मैंडिबल अटैच्ड है. This mandible is attached. See, so जिसकी वजह से you can open your, you can talk. In fact, for talking, eating, पानी पूरी खाते हो ना, तो पानी पूरी खाने के लिए कितना बड़ा आ करते हो तुम लोग? That is only possible because of this particular mandibular fossa. So next time when you go to eat pani puri or make a pani puri at home, na, remember this mandibular fossa, right? Yeah. So yeah, this is about the temporal bone. Then we come to the occipital bone. Present at the back of the head, this single bone forms posterior part of the most of the base of the cranium. Inferior part of this bone shows foramen magnum. Important word, important word. The opening through which medulla oblongata connects with the spinal cord. So this is going to be your occipital bone. यहाँ पर दिखेगा occipital bone. ये देखो. You can see this? One single at the back, through which there's going to be an opening through which the who's going to come out? Medulla oblongata. Okay. On either side of the foramen magnum are two prominent protuberances called as occipital condyles. Very important beta, very important. ये जो occipital condyles होते हैं ना, they are the ones who will fit into our vertebrae का first vertebra. तो यहाँ से पीछे से ये जो neck region होता है अपना, वहाँ पर दो occipital condyle होते हैं. ये occipital condyles जो है ना, they will perfectly fit into our first vertebra. इसीलिए अपना जो नेक है ना वो इन प्लेस रहता है. It doesn't come out, it doesn't shift out. So that is because of this fitting, perfect articulation, perfect fitting है वहाँ पर. Okay, these feed into the corresponding depressions present in the first vertebrae, that is the occipital bone. Then we have got the sphenoid bone. Median bone present at the base of the skull that articulates with all other cranial bones and holds them together. Yeah, T1, yeah. So it's actually the vertebrae. First vertebrae, that is actually called as आएगा. Atlas and axis आपने शायद सुना होगा ना, तो उसके बारे में हम लोग आगे देखने ही वाले. So this is going to be your sphenoid bone. Okay, this butterfly shaped bone has a saddle shaped region called as sella turcica. बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है ये. सेला टर्सिका के ऊपर भी बहुत बार क्वेश्चन आया है. सैडल शेप, यू नो व्हाट इज द सैडल शेप? इफ यू हैव सैट ऑन अ हॉर्स, तो हॉर्स के ऊपर एक ऐसा लेदर का सीट रखा जाता है, देखा आपने? दैट इज कॉल्ड एज सैडल. यस, वी पुट इट ऑन द हॉर्स. सो ये जो स्फेनॉइड बोन है ना, इट इज आल्सो समथिंग लाइक दैट सैडल शेप स्ट्रक्चर. Okay, and it is the one which is going to be articulating with all the bones of the cranium. सबके साथ इसका articulation है. That's the sphenoid bone. Okay, in this hypophacial fossa is present. in which the pituitary gland is lost. I hope you all remember this. Hypophyseal fossa of the sphenoid bone contains the pituitary gland. And that time I had told you all I'll be talking more on this sphenoid bone in the chapter of locomotion. ऐसा मैंने तब आपको बताया भी था, है ना? तो this is going to be your sphenoid bone. यहाँ पर भी दिखाई दे रहा है behind the eyes वाला portion अपना पीछे की तरफ. But this is going to be, look at this sphenoid. ये देखो. Okay, sphenoid bone. Even I think so here you can see or no. ये देखो sphenoid bone. Okay, got it? Understood the position very precisely? It's important. And don't forget the names, huh? Ethmoid bone. This median bone is spongy in appearance. It is located anterior to the sphenoid bone and posterior to the nasal bone. पीछे और अपने sphenoid bone के आगे. It contributes to the formation of the nasal septum and is the major supporting structure of the nasal cavity, ethmoid bone. Sutures is a type of immovable joint. In skull, there are many sutures present. 4 prominent ones are coronal suture, crown. अपना crown region जो है ना उसको corona कहते हैं. Corona का मतलब crown ही होता है. So coronal suture joins frontal bone with the parietal. So ये frontal था, ये parietal है. इनको जो join करता है ना उसको हम कहते हैं coronal sutures. Sagittal sutures, they join the 2 parietal bones. तो ये 2 parietal bones को join करने वाला sagittal है. Lambdoidal sutures joins 2 parietal bones with the occipital bone. Occipital bone पीछे एक अकेला है, right? So the 2 parietals have to get connected over here with the occipital bone. That is called as lambdoidal suture. And lateral or squamous sutures joins parietal and temporal bones on the lateral side. So you know temporal is above the ears, parietal is this. तो इनको join करने वाला lateral sutures. Remember the names of these 4 sutures बेटा. Coronal किसको join कर रहा है वो भी, frontal with parietal. Sagittal 2 parietals. Okay. Lambdoidal parietal with occipital. Correct. And lateral parietal with temporal. Very important. Match the following का question है ये तुम्हारे. It's a clear-cut example of match the following question. Okay. You can see this. See this now, a very beautiful diagram. So here you can see this is the frontal bone. Okay, right? This is the parietal bone. So frontal and parietal को join करने वाला ये जो suture है, you can see this suture, right? This is going to be your coronal suture. अब जैसे यहाँ पर parietal है वैसे पीछे के साइड से भी parietal है. उन दोनों को ये जो join करने वाला suture है sagittal suture. Okay, this is the occipital bone. So parietal with the occipital, ये वाला suture जो आपको दिख रहा है, this suture lambdoidal. Okay, and parietal with the temporal, ये देखो. So this suture is going to be lateral. Understood this now? Look at the positions beta. Frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, occipital bone, occipital condyle on which the vertebrae are going to rest, of course. Sphenoid bone, जिधर pituitary gland present होता है जिसके अंदर. Ethmoid bone, sphenoid के आगे, nasal के पीछे. Okay. Here you can see lacrimal bone, which is going to have lacrimal glands. It is the tear glands. This is the nasal bone. These are the zygomatic bone, that is the cheek bones. Upper wala area is maxilla, niche wala area is mandible. You can see the mandible is attached in this fossa, right? Due to which it can move. And this is going to be a U-shaped hyoid bone, which is also a part of, our skeletal system. So any difficulty in understanding these points, my dears? ये जो इम्पोर्टेंट वाले हैं वो सारे इधर मैंने क्लियरली दिखाई दे रहे हैं, इधर बताया वो. Okay. In case of newborns, the head is still soft. This is because there are 6 soft spots called as fontanelles in cranial bones. Eventually, they get ossified by the age of 2. Fontanelles provide some flexibility to skull during birth and also for rapid growth of brain during infancy. You might have seen this fontanelles. A very, like a newborn baby, अगर आपने कभी देखा है, तो ये वाला जो एरिया होता है ना, ये वाला, हाँ, वो बहुत सॉफ्ट रहता है. When the baby cries or it is breathing very heavily ना, you can see उसका palpitation. देखा है आपने कभी इतने छोटे बच्चे को, न्यूबॉर्न बेबीज को, ये वाला एरिया कितना सॉफ्ट होता है उसका. Yes, yeah. Many of us, of course. I mean, that particular part is soft because of this soft 6 spots which are going to be called as fontanelles. Eventually, they will get ossified. Yeah, there is a depression. Yeah, it feels like a depression. It's very soft. You can't touch that area. हमें डर लगता है उधर टच करने के लिए, है ना, बच्चे के यहाँ पर. और वो जब सोता रहता है ना, तो देखो उसको, वो एकदम से ऐसा जोर जोर से है ना, उसका हार्ट बीट के हिसाब से वो पाल्पिटेशन दिखाई देता है. Yes, my dear. Yes. Okay. I think I'll stop over here because it's almost 9:30. I've got another class from 9:30 onwards. So facial bones ka part, I'll do it in the next class. But we have completed with the cranial bone. Facial bones actually बहुत easy hai, yes, but still I'll continue it in the next class. That is going to be in the next one. Okay. Why does it say the baby's neck? Wait. Yeah. The depression and remains, yeah, that there's always a play. Okay, fine. Then someone has put some comment. Why is it said that the baby's neck is not formed? The occipital condyles and the first vertebral column ka vertebrae jo hai na, they are not well developed. So it will take some time for this fitting. ये अभी तक grow ही नहीं हुआ है. Grow होगा उसके बाद ये fit होगा. जब ये fit होगा उसके बाद ही वो balance ले पाएगा. Right? Yeah. When a person is brought to death by hanging, his hyoid bone breaks. Yes, beta. You're right. Yes, we need support. Yes. Pick the baby up, say to take care of the neck precisely. Yes. So newborn babies hote hain na, you have to catch hold at the neck region. If they fall down na, because this is not developed at all na, ye wala part developed hi nahi hai. It's going to take time. Okay. So we go ahead with the facial bones in the next class. And till then, please read the content that we have already done. And if you have got any difficulties, do let me know. Okay. That's fine. You can continue, my dear. No issues. You can continue that. Yes, my dear. Bye. See you all. Have a nice day ahead. Study nicely.